What happens when a wealthy quadriplegic man hires an ex-con from the streets to be his caretaker? You get a friendship no one saw coming. The Intouchables follows Philippe, a rich man stuck in his wheelchair, and Driss, a guy who just wants to collect his job seeker signature. But instead of pity or formality, Driss brings chaos, laughter, and honesty into Philippe's quiet life. As they clash, joke, and grow together, both men rediscover freedom in their own ways, one from his chair, the other from his past. So let's dive straight in. Driss is a man full of enthusiasm despite his ordinary life. One day he goes to an interview for a job as a nurse. The person he will take care of is Philippe, a rich man who is paralyzed. Unlike other applicants, Driss only came to the interview to get a signature proving his attendance, so he could receive government aid. During the interview, Driss argues with Philippe about music, and even flirts with Philippe's assistant, Magali. At first, Philippe wants to reject Driss, but out of pity, he tells Driss to come back tomorrow for the signed paper. Before leaving, Driss secretly takes one of the decorative eggs from Philippe's house. When Driss returns home, we see his house is small and crowded because he lives with many siblings. His mother comes home from work and gets angry because Driss had been missing for 6 months and is still unemployed. Disappointed, she kicks him out of the house. The next day, Driss goes back to Philippe's mansion to get his interview paper signed. There, the head nurse, Yvonne, tells him that many nurses quit because they can't handle the work. Although the job has long hours, it comes with good facilities like a comfortable room and good food. Suddenly, Philippe decides to hire Driss for a 1-month trial. Since Driss has nowhere to go, he accepts. On his first day, Driss makes several mistakes. He falls asleep while massaging Philippe, washes his feet with shampoo, and accidentally spills hot water on Philippe's numb feet. Later, when he is told to clean Philippe's backside, Driss refuses out of disgust and says he will never do that. Another nurse ends up doing it. The next day, Driss is supposed to take Philippe to an art gallery. He refuses to use the car that looks like an ambulance and instead chooses a more luxurious one. At the gallery, Philippe spends an hour staring at an abstract painting, which Driss thinks is just random colors. Philippe then decides to buy the painting for 41,000 euros, leaving Driss shocked. Later, one of Philippe's colleagues warns him to be careful because Driss had just been released from prison for theft and is known to be rude. But Philippe says Driss is not that bad and that he is happy with his work, as Driss has a unique way of entertaining people. One day, Driss discovers that Philippe has been sending letters to a woman named Eleonore. Driss becomes curious about their relationship. Sometime later, Philippe struggles to breathe and has a fever from his medication. He needs fresh air, so Driss immediately takes him outside in his wheelchair, even though he is still sleepy. Driss pushes Philippe around Paris before sunrise and gives him marijuana to help ease his pain. During this time, Driss asks about Philippe's relationship with Eleonore. Driss wonders how Philippe can be close to a woman when he is completely paralyzed. Philippe says he can feel romance through his ears, through words and sounds. Philippe then tells Driss about his late wife, Alice, who was kind and loving. They were married for 25 years before she died from blood loss during a miscarriage. After that, Philippe adopted a daughter named Elisa. He says the hardest part of his life isn't paralysis, but losing his wife. Despite expensive treatments, doctors expect him to live until around 70 years old. After this talk, Philippe asks Driss to stay on permanently, since he has passed the trial period, but he also brings up the decorative egg that went missing and asks Driss to return it. Driss pretends not to know what Philippe means, though he simply forgot where he left it. The next day, Driss goes to pick up his siblings from school but stops at the police station because his younger brother, Adama, is caught in a marijuana case. Luckily, Adama is released since he is still a minor. At Philippe's house, Driss sees Magali helping Philippe write a poem for Eleonore. Driss jokes about the poem, saying it sounds like nonsense. He is surprised to learn that Philippe and Eleonore have been writing to each other for 6 months, but have never met. Annoyed by how slow things are, Driss calls Eleonore and convinces Philippe to talk to her on the phone. Philippe finally agrees and even sends her his photo. Later, while watching an opera, Driss tells Philippe not to feel bad about his disability, saying women prefer rich men over perfect-looking ones. Days pass, and one day Driss gets angry because Philippe's daughter, Elisa, is rude to him. He learns she acts this way toward everyone in the house. Driss asks Philippe to let him teach her a lesson, but Philippe refuses because he doesn't want to be harsh with her. Annoyed, Driss goes to his room, frustrated. There, he starts painting an abstract painting like the one he once made fun of. Meanwhile, because of Driss's influence, Philippe begins standing up for himself and tells his daughter to behave better with others. Driss went back to his usual routine as Philippe's caretaker, but something had changed. Before, he took his job very seriously, but now he did it in a more relaxed and fun way. Taking care of Philippe had become something he actually enjoyed. As time passed, Driss and Philippe became closer friends. Around that time, Philippe's birthday was coming up. Before the party, Philippe told Driss that he was tired of his family treating him like he was about to die. He admitted that he felt more comfortable with Driss, who treated him like a normal person instead of a patient. When the birthday party came, Philippe had hired an orchestra to play music. During the celebration, Driss noticed Philippe's daughter, Elisa, crying alone in her room. He went to check on her and found out she had just been dumped by her boyfriend, Bastien. Elisa asked Driss to talk to Bastien for her. At first, Driss refused because he didn't want to get involved, but when Elisa offered to pay him, he agreed. Meanwhile, Philippe was showing one of Driss's abstract paintings to his friend. Surprisingly, the friend bought it for 11,000 euros. During the party, Driss noticed that Philippe looked bored, so he got everyone up to dance. His plan worked. Philippe laughed and actually looked happy for the first time in a while. After the party, Driss helped Philippe back to his room and gave him a letter from Eleonore. In the letter, she said she would be coming to Paris next week to meet him and even included some of her photos. Philippe was so happy that he couldn't sleep that night. The next week, Philippe got ready to meet Eleonore, with Yvonne by his side. At the same time, Driss met with Bastien and convinced him to apologize to Elisa. After that, Driss went to see his mother from a distance, but didn't have the courage to talk to her because he still felt guilty for disappointing her. While Philippe was waiting at the restaurant for Eleonore, he started to panic. He was scared she might be disappointed when she saw that he was paralyzed. Out of nervousness, he decided to leave before she arrived. But as he was leaving, he unknowingly passed right by Eleonore. She saw him, but he didn't realize it was her. Days went by, and Philippe tried to move on and forget about Eleonore. One day, he invited Driss to travel with him on a private plane. On the flight, Philippe gave Driss 11,000 euros from the painting sale and told him he was actually talented at abstract art. They spent the day sightseeing and enjoying themselves. By then, they didn't seem like boss and employee anymore. They were more like real friends. When they returned home, Driss found his younger brother Adama waiting for him. Adama had been kicked out of their house after getting caught with marijuana again. Driss was angry and scolded him for always getting into trouble. Later that night, Philippe called Driss to his room and asked about his past. Driss told him everything. His real name was Bakari, and he was born in Senegal. He was adopted when he was 8 years old, and the woman he called his mother was actually his aunt. Adama was his cousin, born without a father. Driss explained that his aunt got pregnant out of wedlock, and life had always been difficult for them. Hearing this, Philippe felt a mix of emotions. He realized that even though Driss always looked cheerful, he had been carrying a sad story all along. Philippe then told Driss to take a break from working as his caretaker so he could focus on fixing his personal life and his family issues. Another reason was that Philippe didn't want Driss to stay a nurse forever. He believed Driss could achieve more. Philippe thanked him and said his service had been excellent. Even though it was hard for him, he wanted to do what was best for his friend. The next morning, when Driss was about to leave, all the staff gathered to say goodbye. Everyone looked sad, since Driss had brought laughter and warmth into the house. Driss left with Adama, and on their way home, they met their mother as she was returning from work. Both of them apologized and helped carry her bag. Even though she had kicked them out, she forgave them. The three of them walked home together peacefully. Sometime later, Driss got a job as a delivery man. Meanwhile, Philippe had a new caretaker, but the new one wasn't like Driss. He was too quiet and formal. Philippe seemed unhappy and lonely again. One night, he had trouble breathing, and even though the nurse tried to help, Philippe refused. Worried about him, Yvonne decided to contact Driss. The next day, Driss came to visit. When Philippe saw him, he was both surprised and happy. Driss joked about Philippe's thick beard and mustache, making him laugh again. It felt like old times between them. Soon after, Driss took Philippe out for a drive. He sped through the streets, and they ended up getting stopped by the police for driving too fast. Driss quickly told the officers that Philippe needed emergency medical help. The police believed him and gave them an escort instead of a ticket. Once they were clear, Driss drove Philippe to a quiet beach instead of a hospital. Philippe smiled as he felt the fresh air and looked at the ocean, something he hadn't done in a long time. The next day, Driss took Philippe to a restaurant for lunch, but just after sitting down, Driss said he had to leave for something important. Before going, he returned the egg he had stolen from Philippe's house months earlier and told Philippe that a special person would be coming to meet him. Then he left. A few minutes later, a beautiful woman walked in and sat across from Philippe. It was Eleonore. Driss had secretly arranged the meeting, knowing Philippe still cared about her. From a distance, Driss watched them together, smiling. He knew this was his final gift to Philippe, chance at happiness and closure with someone he truly cared about.